Thank you for joining me for video number 5 in our series on the Access Budget Builder and how to make progress with your own personal budget. In the last video, we covered how to track your progress on your goals and compare your current expenses with your planned expenses. And so now that you know how to do that, we're going to get into the heart of what a lot of people consider the real meat of the budgeting process, and that's deciding how much you will spend in the future now that you've decided that you want to have a budget, you want to take control of your money, and you want to spend less. So in each category, so these are the same categories that you had earlier when you were entering your current expenses. These radio buttons here, you'll just click each one at a time, and when you do, the expenses that you told us you had earlier will show up, and then you'll be able to make changes to those if you want to. You can do them in any order, but we find it's easiest just to start on the left side and run down all the way until you're done over here when it says I'm done setting my budget targets. And you'll need to click this in order to move on to the next section. So when you're done, you'll click that, but if you're not done, just start over here. Okay, so here is your current expense type, here's your current expense amount, and then all you have to do is say how much you think you can spend in the future with your, as far as like if you're making changes to your spending. So if you cannot make any change to the amount that you're currently spending, just enter the amount that you're currently spending. And so it's hard to save money on rent. It can be a little easier to save money on electricity. Maybe you turn the lights out a little more often. It's hard to save money on water and sewer bill because that's normally standard. Your telephone bill, most of those are pretty standard now. Same with your internet. So the utilities may be difficult to save money on, but you can save a little bit. And down here at the bottom of the category, it tells you what those changes are and then the annual impact of that. And then when you're done with this category, you just say, yes, I'm done with utilities. And then you can check the next box. And so, or the next button. So now we're going to go to recurring consumables. So here's where we can save a bunch of money. So we're going to go food. We're going to make the change. We're going to say we're going to spend $100 less per month. And then on personal and beauty care, we're going to say we're going to spend $5 less per month. But I also want to point out that now the system is reminding you that you flagged this particular expense as a want instead of a need. And this would be a good place to start making changes. In fact, the way some people like to handle this section is they just scroll through and look for the wants. And then they go, okay, let me see, recreation, yes, I can save less, I can spend less, and so I'm going to do 200 instead of 250 on that. And here's my lawn care. I'm going to, maybe I'll buy stuff on sale. I'm going to get it for 50 bucks instead of 60 bucks a month. And then you can see the changes here. But I do want to caution you, like this one, we didn't put any amount in there. And so you don't want to leave it blank. You want to put the same amount that you're currently spending if you're not making a change. And same with that. And then once again, we can scroll up and see our progress. So right now, we can already see that with the proposed changes that we have, we're going to save $2,100 a year. We've reached our first goal, and we have $1,500 towards our second goal. And so we're making good progress. But you get the picture on how to do this. It's very straightforward. The only difference is when you get into the debt area, there's another box to fill in. So we're asking you the same question. What is your target monthly amount for that debt? But we also are asking how much is needed to pay off this debt. And that will be used in the debt reduction plan. So let's say that we have to pay $250, or we're currently paying, let's say we're going to increase that to $260, and that this debt is $2,500 on that debt, and the credit cards, we can increase that to $115 a month, but that is a $3,000 debt. So we entered that information in there, and then we are asked if you want to create a debt reduction plan. And so if it's a no, it's a no, but if it's a yes, click yes, and the next section becomes available, and we will cover that in our next video. So thank you for joining me on how to enter, or how to set spending targets, and we'll cover the debt reduction plan in the next video.